Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mamluks podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts, Mahin Islam, Shaykh Amir, and the host of Mazibaz, the one and only Mort.
Assalamu alaikum.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Help us out on patreon.com/the Mamluks. Make sure you click on like and subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section below and let Shaykh Amir know how much you appreciate or are willing to contribute to his future adventures and knowledge.
Yeah, when you go for your PhD. By the way, I'm getting I'm about to crash because I just ate one of these Swiss rolls.
I told you, coma, bro. That's something.
And I'm about to pass out.
That'll give you a coma.
Attack, you know.
I had a giant plate of taquitos before coming.
Tequila?
Taquitos.
What's taquitos?
They're like these Mexican tiny tacos that are kind of rolled up.
Ah.
Yeah.
I ate like 15 of them, dude.
And they're like deep fried?
Yeah, they're deep fried.
Dang.
Oh, man. I did not want to come in today. I did not want to come in.
You should have brought some for us. By the way, enchiladas were really
silence.
good.
Awkward silence. Should have bought some for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
One day.
are they called? Taquito?
Taquitos.
Taquitos. It's part of the keto diet.
You never had taquitos?
Isn't that like a beer?
No, that's tequilas.
Huh?
That's tequilas, yes.
No. Tecate, that's the beer.
Tecate.
Yeah. The eagle
Anyway.
one. The Mayan eagle.
Oh, okay. No.
It's all
okay.
the boxing stuff. I'm all the boxing fact.
Shirabu, we're not allowed to glorify the khamr.
I'm not glorifying. I'm just saying it's the brand.
Look, you're giving
I'm
it.
thinking you might have eaten.
You're
you might
giving
have
it
drinking
advertisement.
color, so I was just trying to worry about you.
You're giving it advertisement now.
Astaghfirullah.
Folks, in the last episode, Sheikh Amir Al Saidi went to.
Saidi? You know what Saidi is like? It's a Bedouin in Egypt.
Why not? Why can't he be a Saidi?
Because he's not a Bedouin.
From Upper Egypt, right?
Because he's not a Bedouin.
Maybe he is one now. Okay. Why can't you convert to Bedouinism?
No, because you grow up. You grow up in that. You can't just convert to a Bedouin.
You want to,
Saidis are actually-
leave the life of the city.
They're very hospitable, actually.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. I heard they
but-
drink a lot of camel milk.
I don't know. I went there once and I didn't have any camel milk.
Mm.
Yeah.
A lot of them are
host was
farmers.
amazing. We'll talk about that.
I feel like they would do like a lot of grazing in the desert,
They're farmers.
but you can't grow anything in the desert.
No, but the Nile, the Upper Nile, like they farm, they irrigate, and they farm.
But the Nile is so far away for other Bedouins that are in the Hijaz area.
But the ones in the Hijaz are not called Sa'idis.
It's okay, bro. He's going to confuse.
You would think the guy who was born in the deserts of Medina would know that there's no Sa'idis in the Hijaz.
Anyway,
okay.
Sheikh, in the end of the last episode, Sheikh here went to Al-Azhar University. He just finished high school, and he was walking through the gates of Al-Azhar when he asked for the restroom.
Or Al-Azhar?
Al-Azhar,
Okay.
when he asked for directions to the restroom, because that's, as the longtime listeners of the Mamluks know, the Sheikh here asks to use the washroom as he enters any place of gathering.
I think it's a thing of
anyone's household.
nervousness.
It's a way he marks the territory, so he lets people know that, hey, you know what? This is my place, my house. Now I have established residence here, and if anyone treads on me,
Well, Sim, I don't think you're paying attention. He has this thing. Even going back to the airplane, when he gets off, he's got to freshen up whenever he gets somewhere. He has to comb his beard.
I remember that.
He's
I
gotta
remember you
straighten
talking
his
about this.
eyebrows. He's got to
I don't do the eyebrow
fix
thing.
his blue eyes.
Fix.
Put the contacts in. The fake
Yeah, make sure that's reflective.
So, what happened when you asked for directions over there?
to the rest
So
of
I
the
didn't
restroom?
ask for directions to the restroom. Can we continue? Can we proceed?
And
Can
we-
previously on the
Can we
previous
abide this piece, bro?
I'm not.
on the previous episode, we also discussed your first marriage and only marriage.
The only
See?
marriage.
First and only marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
She's watching too, by the way.
That's why I said
Yeah.
only marriage, right?
Yeah.
MashaAllah. Anyway, can you?
By the way, when you said that even though she knew you were joking, that cut me some slack, bro.
Mashallah.
I love it. That's why I do it.
That's
Little punk, bro.
That's why I do it.
Punk, bro. Anyways, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So check this out.
Inna alhamdulillah.
نحمده ونستعينه
ونستغفره
ونعوذ بالله
من شرور أنفسنا. All the Salafi days come out, bro. Here you go.
He started, dude.
فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله Anyways,
That was such an old man grunt.
I was about to laugh, but I held it in.
how was so you mentioned restroom, by the way. How was the public restrooms in the Mosque of Azhar? Do they have them?
Yeah, they're actually pretty decent.
No,
There are
that-
people cleaning in
Yeah,
there.
no, but by
There are
the
people
way,
standing in there cleaning them and stuff.
when you did that, it reminds me of my dad. Remember,
When
my
he's
dad
getting
used to do
angry,
that.
yeah,
He used to come in.
And do they have like for wudu? Like, so I haven't been to Azhar, but I was at the Qarawiyyin mosque, and they have like the public courtyard wudu area. Does Azhar have something similar?
Azhar does not have.
No.
There's other masjids that have that. Not
Okay.
Azhar though.
You know what might be interesting to say here, though, just so people, a little bit of history. Al Azhar actually started off as a Shia
Yeah, the
place. It
Fatimids.
was under the Fatimids, so it was a center for Shia learning because for a long time, the Fatimids controlled majority of that area, including in Africa.
I
Yep.
think you need to silence yourself.
Huh?
We don't need to cast doubt on the
There's
sheikh's
no doubt.
on his education.
There's no
He
doubt.
said started out as.
It started out as one until the Muslims came back and took it back over.
The Muslims came back and took it over. I like when you put
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, the Fatimids were kuffar. I mean, it's clear. I mean, the rulers were. I mean, the kafir. I mean, no doubt. But anyways, the reality.
Nice way to
Muslims,
start off this episode.
I mean, I am part of. Oh, by the way, I'm part of Sunni Defense, which has now been changed to Sunni Discourse because we thought it'd be a better name for it.
Yeah, it sounded kind of militant. Sunni
No, this defense sounded like we're on the defensive, and we are.
Reminds me of a place in
Like
Pakistan
discourse.
for some reason.
Anyways, point being is that Awafid had control of it, and they started it, and then Ahl Sunnah came and cured it of their shirk, and it became a very noble university. Continue.
Anyways, some amazing people I met there, man. One of the brothers that I met there when I was even in the institute, i.e. the high school of Azhar, was Shaykh Suhail Mullah. Many of you guys know him from California. He had a very, very important role of my stay in Egypt. He was one of the only gentlemen with a car there. And me and him were in the same class. So instead of taking the public transportation, any dars we would go to at night, because there were some other schools that we were studying at too, that Sheikh Yusuf Rios introduced us to. He would basically give me a ride, and I wouldn't really have to take lots of public transportation if he was around. So he had this Daewoo Lanos, and we had lots of memories in that thing, man. We had lots of friends that would get rides and stuff there and to the school and all that good stuff. So we continued, me and Sheikh Suhail Mullah kind of became like these cool, he was like my partner in crime. I was like his little wingman, I guess. He was a lot older than me. He was like a year older than my oldest brother. But the interesting thing is, and the reason why I mention him is, whenever you travel overseas, Allah gives you, and He bestows His favor upon you by introducing you to people that remind you of people back home. He exactly reminded me of my oldest brother, Naveed. Same attitude, the way he goes about things, kind of serious in his own way. And he was probably like a year older than my oldest brother. That first year that I got into the university, I met lots of cool people. I met Sheikh Arsalan Haq. I met Hamad Rahman Fahim. Jamal Diwan, I knew him from before, but we were all kind of together in the school. So now I head back. Let me just backtrack a little bit. I get married, and then I head out after a few months. I head out to Egypt with my wife. We get to Egypt, just getting accustomed to everything. It's my wife's first time away from her parents in the States or whatever, and we just end up kind of getting accustomed to everything. One of the first ideas that people used to tell me was, they used to say that the university is going to give you the tools, and the personal contacts that you make with shuyukh and teachers is where true knowledge is going to be sought. You know what I'm saying? So I met lots of cool people there, but my first introduction to the school was, I walked into a dars of comparative fiqh with Sheikh Ahmed Taha Rayyan. He was our teacher for our first year of comparative fiqh, and Dr. Sa'duddin Hilali. Maliki, yes,
Yeah,
for sure, dude.
Wait, who's Maliki?
Sheikh Ahmed Taha Rayyan.
Yeah, Sheikh Rayyan. He's world renowned.
I've heard of that name many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about him?
I will. And I walked into the dars. This is my first year. I chose the faculty of Islamic law, Sharia al-Islamiyya. And it was just something that I've always been waiting for, which I knew existed, but I didn't know it was going to be like that. So this is how the studies go. When you sign up for the university, you pick a madhab which you're going to be specializing in, right? I chose the Hanafi madhab. And you have your own separate classes with the Hanafis when it comes to like Al-Hidayah, the specific book of fiqh that you're going to be focusing on, and some other classes. But then you have all of the madhahib come together when you have comparative fiqh, right? And when you have, for instance, ahkam al-Quran. I'm going to go through the subjects just so people understand, how things are studied overseas.
Did you also by chance study Ahkam al-Sultaniyya?
Ahkam al-Sultaniyya, that came later. The Ahkam al-Sultaniyya, not the book in specific. That's a book that you would research on the side.
That's what the book I want to learn.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a great book by Imam al-Mawardi. So what happens is you choose a madhab, and then when the classes they merge, where all the madhab are together, it's for comparative fiqh, contemporary fiqh issues, ahkam al-Quran, the verses that have to do with fiqh in specific in the Quran, 300 to extended to about 500 verses, which are thematically about fiqh. So that's when it becomes beautiful, because you have everybody sitting together. I'd be sitting from somebody next to Malaysia, people from different parts of Africa, from Nigeria, and it's something that a lot of people didn't like the environment because it's so crowded, but I loved it. Excuse me, I loved
what didn't they like about it?
They just thought it wasn't concentrated enough. It wasn't it wasn't like sitting privately or like three people studying with the Shaykh together. I got that part, but I think you need both, right?
Okay.
I love the whole auditorium setup where people can just, if they have questions or debate with the teacher, they can do it. It's something that was very open. There was actually a Syrian brother that was with me who was studying in Syria in his last 2 years he completed in Azhar, and he was like, man, this is such a change. I can actually debate and discuss with my teachers. In Syria, you can't really debate with the teachers. You just have to stay quiet and listen to everything they teach you. But Egypt, it's a lot more open. You can just talk and discuss, and teachers don't take offense to it. I mean, that habit is not even there. Literally, when you have to like raise your hand to ask a question, people just speak out while the teacher's talking. It's kind of like normal.
That's kind of rude.
Yeah, but with Egyptians, it's kind of like normal, and like in Egypt, it's okay.
Okay.
Nobody really thinks of it bad as long as you're being nice about it and don't say anything bad, or rude. The dilemmas now, so I'm going to talk about the subjects, but there's a dilemma that occurs. It's an ongoing pattern that you see in your life. When you're doing something, Allah starts testing you, right? And that's all just a part of it. Sometimes you can't make sense of it, but you have to step back and look what's happening. So I've had my own ailments and sicknesses along the way. I've always been known to have like stomach issues when I've been traveling and stuff. So when I bring my missus with me to Egypt, she starts, and she said, no, don't mention what the sickness was, but she kept on getting very, very sick when we were in Egypt, to the point where, sometimes I would take days off of school. Obviously, I didn't mind it. It was my first time traveling with her. She kept on getting really sick, and, we had to go to lots and lots of doctors throughout the weeks and months, and then like sometimes like 3 times a week, twice a week. And then I discovered there's, on the embassy website of doctors that were trained and can prescribe medicine, and they'll take insurance from the United States in Egypt. They're basically American educated or from the UK. And those are the doctors that we started utilizing. We started utilizing the embassy website and the consulate website. But nonetheless, we started having to resort to lots of natural remedies too. This is where Mort's favorite part comes in.
I know about this part too.
Yeah, no, but the cool thing is, in the pharmacies in Egypt, the medications that some of the doctors will prescribe to you are actually like natural remedies and like herbal medicine. They're actually very, very helpful, and they're cheaper too, obviously. So that first year, we were able to kind of foot soldier our way through Azhar as far as our health issues were concerned. But then there was this awesome balance of meeting all these new people. A lot of them were Westerners. And the crazy thing, as far as the setup of classes in Egypt, especially in the Faculty of Islamic Studies, is Egypt, they have a system of people when they graduate from high school, based on their grades, that's what faculty that they're going to be placed in a university. A lot of them don't have control over a lot of times what they're going to be doing unless their grades are really, really high. So what the Egyptian government did, I think it was in the beginning years of Hosni Mubarak or maybe a little before him, all the students who had the lowest GPAs in high school, guess where they would send them? The Faculty of Islamic Law. The worst of the worst as far as grades are concerned. So you have this crazy contrast where you have Westerners that want to go to the Faculty of Sharia Islamiyya or Usul al-Din. So you have these super studious guys that are in the faculty from the Western world and from overseas, but then the Egyptians that are there studying with you, they have the lowest GPAs in Egypt.
So where do the best guys go?
If they
went to the military?
It's going to be going to secular studies, I think, not anything Islamic,
Like
right?
medicine or something?
Yeah.
I thought they went to the military.
Yeah. So what that did was that was a process politically of getting the worst of grades and GPAs into the Islamic into the Islamic universities and institutions. Mm-hmm. So now you have a complete opposite type of students. You have very studious people that are not from Egypt that are in the Islamic law department, Faculty of Islamic Law, and then you have the Egyptians that may be there that have the lowest of GPAs in all of Egypt.
Did you guys make fun of them?
No, we didn't.
Oh.
But our teachers, you know, they Sheikh Shaban, I still remember, who was our first year teacher in Ayat al-Ahkam al-Quran, or Ayat al-Ahkam al-Quran, the verses that have to do with fiqh in the Quran. He's like, he stopped his class once and he said, I'm telling the foreigners, stay away from the Egyptians. Call them out right in front of the Egyptians. Bro. Egyptians didn't say nothing, right?
I call them out for being lazy.
Are they even religious?
Some of them not. I'll tell you a funny story.
So I'm getting the understanding that they just went to get a degree.
Because that's where they were given to go. That's what they were handed.
Is that where you get the fatwa of breastfeeding grown men and stuff?
Yeah.
No, that's a little different. That's a little political.
Can you talk about that for a moment?
Like, who's the Grand Mufti
I think a lot of people want to know why, like, some of these crazy things come out of Al-Azhar. Like, I mean, me personally, like, this whole joint thing with, like, the Rawafid, recognize Al-Jafari and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah. But anyways, is it because
tool that's utilized because that's what the Muslim world, especially that part of the world, but in Egypt, is looking at as a religious institution. So the government obviously has lots of influence of what comes out of there. You know what I'm saying?
But stuff like that, Al-Kabir, like, I mean, why would the government want someone to say, like, adult breastfeeding is cool?
No, that's not from the government. That's just some dude. So many people, and he wasn't even from the. So someone making that type of claim usually should be coming out from some of the professors or from the Dar al-Ifta that specialize in fiqh. That individual wasn't even from. I think he was. I don't even think his degree was in fiqh.
So the reason why I'm asking,
people that say random things, they just catch a lot of a win because.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because a lot of times, you'll find organizations like Memory TV, and they'll just pick up some random Azhari, and people will think, oh, this is like this is these are the fuqaha coming out of Al-Azhar, who are like, and I think I mentioned this specifically because I want people to realize, especially since we're talking about Al-Azhar, that just because someone he's an Azhari doesn't mean that necessarily he's giving an opinion that is necessarily
from Azhar. Yeah, because there's millions of people that have graduated from Azhar, right? Why choose that one person, one thing he says? Because some people may say worse things than him, like they're human beings, right? Human beings err and they make up stuff and they.
So how does one verify? Like, let's say here, like, is there a way that a layman can say, hey, that's really a position like Al-Azhar endorses? Like, is there a way that people can verify that?
Only by going to the website of Dar al-Ifta or whatever, the Mufti of Egypt says, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why they're there in the first place. That's its own story.
Will the Mufti rebuke
Al-Azhar
something like this? Like, let's say someone came out with this idea.
Yeah, but he won't catch any popularity of his opinion.
No, but I'm saying, will the Mufti on their website, will he rebuke that?
It's been done before, but this exact one, the whole working with women and women breastfeeding their colleagues and stuff like that.
And by the way, to be fair though, even that guy who did it, he wasn't talking about actually suckling. He was talking about actually putting it into a glass and having someone drink from it, not like how people thought it was being talked about.
Oh, like in Rami.
Yeah, it wasn't like it wasn't. It was never.
That's the only time he wakes up. That's not happening.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but anyways, the point being is like, I just wanted to clarify because people think, oh my god, they call Al-Azhar, they're like, Ash'ari, and they're like crazy, they're off in their fiqh, But the reality is that not everything that comes out of Al-Azhari's mouth is necessarily the position of Al-Azhar.
And even your professors, man. Look, we're all human beings, and we all, make mistakes, and we all say crazy things sometimes, right? So the first year is basically dealing. And all levels, it's broken down pretty awesome. Where the first year you're going through, all your subjects are overlapping with the theme of fiqh al-ibadat first, salat, zakat, sawm, and hajj. So when you're studying comparative fiqh, the scholars and the professors are writing their own books, and those are the books that you're studying, right? In comparative fiqh, it's obviously citing from all the major books of fiqh from the past classical works. So you have comparative fiqh, which was all revolving around salat, zakat, sawm, and hajj. Your personal fiqh of whatever madhab you choose is going through fiqh al-ibadat for the first year. The verses that you're covering from the Quran that have to do with fiqh are all from salat, zakat, sawm, and hajj. The hadith al-ahkam, right? So that's another subject, is where you're focusing on hadith that have to do specifically with fiqh. Those are all the fiqh al-ibadat for that first year. Cool. So everything, there's this constant overlap. But then you have some classes, and this is what you're talking about. I'll give you a pretty interesting story. You also study a little bit of Aqidah and grammar, but since you've covered Alfiya, Ibn Malik, in the 3 years of the Institute, now you're getting more into philosophy of grammar and language and how you utilize it and how it's relevant to fiqh and stuff, right? So in our Aqidah class, I still remember we were studying a book called Al-Iqtisad fi al-I'tiqad, Imam Ghazali's book on how he basically refuted the philosophers by utilizing their methodology of disproving Allah. So Imam al-Ghazali, went to them and proved the existence of Allah to them. And they said, but we don't agree with the Quran, we don't agree with the Sunnah. You have to use something secular like what we're using. We're using our minds, we're using our intellect. So what he did was, the methodology that they used to disprove Allah, he used their very own methodology to prove the existence of Allah, which is why he was an amazing human being, right? Obviously, rahimahullah. So our teacher now, fast forwarding, our teacher, he was just the intro to the class. It was so hard for me to sit in that class, because just to the intro of the class, he was talking about Imam al-Ghazali, he was Ash'ari, and all this stuff. And towards the end of the first day of introduction to the class, it's a 2-hour class. Each of these classes are 2 hours long, right? You're going like to 2 to 3 classes a day. Each of those are about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. And he goes, at the end, وَبِسُوءِ الْحَظِّ فِي آخِرِ حَيَاتِهِ. And unfortunately, toward the end of his life, التفت إلى مذهب السلف. He kind of went to the madhab of the Salaf. He's talking about Imam al-Ghazali. And I was like, oh, because I heard about those stories, but you have extremes on all sides.
Is that a reference to him dying with a book on it? Okay,
yeah, but also changes of opinions and stuff like that, right? And then when he starts talking about Imam al-Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam, Imam al-Taymiyyah, talking like almost vulgar, but like very distasteful way. So I was like, all right, I understand what's happening.
Let's talk about this for a moment. Not that I want to get into the issues of the differences, but do you think there's a obviously like that school of thought is associated with like Saudi Arabia and al-Qura, Medina, right? And then do you think that this is also partly in part like political, like
of course,
that's like the Saudi ideology.
So there's one thing that you'll realize, even the older you get, sometimes you have to like catch yourself because of your hatred for what the government's doing, of any religion that comes out of there too, you almost like just cancel it out because of the association, the guilt by association thing, right? But not only that, like, dude, you have very extreme Salafis everywhere, and you have very extreme Sufis, right, everywhere. And some of our teachers, I still love them and respect them, but this individual, I really didn't sit in too many of his classes. I just kind of studied that book with somebody else on the side. I had a really difficult time sitting through his class because he was always just constantly Imam ibn Taymiyyah bashing, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, like talking distasteful like Ahmad ibn Hanbal.
I noticed,
I was like, man.
I always noticed, like, I don't mind teachers that disagree with them, but when someone excessively focuses and takes this stab at somebody else all the time, I feel like, bro, like, I feel like it's just not something that, you know, that you should, like, really focus on. Like, I mean, I get it, fine, you don't agree with them. I don't like it from the Salafi side, and I don't like it from the Sufi side. Yeah. Like, I've seen, like, and don't get me wrong, I like some, like, even though I'm not Sufi, I listen to some people because of certain things I believe they excel in.
Of course.
And I mean, I admire them in some ways, right?
Of course.
Likewise with the Salafi, but if I hear someone who's always just criticizing the other side and taking a stab at them while trying to maintain that neutrality, I feel like you're doing a real disservice.
And a lot of it has to do with upbringing, the way some people had a really bad experience. Some of those professors lived in Saudi. They really had bad experiences. They come back and they're just guns blazing, anti-Wahhabi, you know, whatever the case is, So the reason I'm mentioning that is this individual who was my teacher, my professor in Aqidah for the first year, he really, really was on a very extreme and sometimes distasteful level. Doesn't mean everyone's like that. No, everyone else is usually respectful. You know what I'm saying? You have to be. In comparative fiqh, you have to include Imam ibn Taymiyyah in his opinions. You have to include Ibn Hazm in a lot of the discourse. You have to. There's no way around it.
What about Ibn Kathir?
Ibn Kathir, yeah. I mean...
But he's more of a, it's not...
He's more utilized in hadith and other things, in his tafsir, but...
And tarikh, right? A little bit, right?
Yeah, but there's some opinions of his in the books of fiqh too, obviously, in comparative fiqh, you know, there's... he's in there, obviously, but he's not a very big part of that conversation as much as, you know, the four imams and Imam ibn Taymiyyah is concerned, right? So, now I come back to the States, you know, I have to come back after the first year, you know, and now my wife is, you know, she's still pretty sick. We come back, and then a few months later we find out that, you know, we're going to be having our first child. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah, you know. And then I come back to Egypt alone. There's a few times where I went back and forth. There was one time where I had to take some time off and just study with, and that's where I met Shaykh Muhammad al-Imam in Chicago, where I would study a lot of my work with him, and I'd go back for my exams.
Oh, I remember that you were driving to the south side.
Yep.
And he was like this gem sitting in the south side, bro, that was underutilized.
I was like, this guy, he used to be one of the principals or somebody in the faculty of Azhar in one of the institutes, I think in Alexandria, or even I can't remember exactly where, but he knew the curriculum inside. It's like, I just found this dude, somebody introduced me to him at IFS. You know who told me about him?
He was a student of Sha'arawi, right?
Sheikh Mutawalli Sha'arawi, yeah. He
was it Amu Fuad?
No, there's two people that told me about him. Remember Sheikh Adam, Crescent Chicken dude?
Oh yeah.
I was like, man, I got to take some time off, but I need to study some of these books. Do you know him and Sheikh Muhammad Hassan, rahimahullah, who recently passed away? Yeah, they told me about him. That's how I knew about him. And I went there, and I found out that, you know, like there's this guy who's this gem of a scholar, and there's like at Asr time there's like 4 people at his masjid. He's leading the salah. There's like 4 people in the line. And at Isha, there's sometimes like 10 people, you know, because I'd spent a lot of time there. So then now I come back again for the second year, and this is where you're focusing on different parts of the Sharia, everything that has to do with like buying and selling, because that's like the next step up. So everything you're studying now, again, comparative fiqh is buying and selling. Verses of the Quran.
That's called the mu'amalat, right?
Mu'amalat, yes. Al-buyu' wal-mu'amalat, very good.
A buoy?
Buyu', which means buying and selling.
Who's a buoy?
No. But there's one thing of thoroughness that I want people to understand of a beautiful way of studying is thematically, there's subjects. Subject number 1 is when you hear about people studying fiqh. Fiqh is basically a book that is an extrapolation of the Quran and the Sunnah, the end result, and you're just studying those in the codified manner. Cool? And then you have comparative fiqh, which is the 4 madhabs plus more of understanding of how this thought process takes place of deriving rules from the Quran and codifying it. And then you have ayat al-ahkam, verses of the Quran that have to do with fiqh thematically, and you're focusing on those specifically because they have to do with fiqh. And then ahadith specifically that have to do with fiqh, starting from salah, zakat, sawm, hajj, buying and selling, and then you're focusing on those, right? So what this does is you're going through all of the different resources that cover these themes, but you're studying it in an organized manner, right? The curriculum is amazing, but it's a lot. So you're going to need somebody outside of the school that's going to help you review what you're doing, right?
Is it designed that way where you have to sit with tutors, or maybe the intention was that you sit with previous students who are designed that way?
Originally, what used to happen, like the university setting is actually a new phenomenon to the Muslim world. Before in Egypt, in Azhar, what used to happen was you see the pillars that are in the Masjid of Azhar, which are kind of labeled officially and unofficially, some of them, where scholars used to teach under. That's where the students used to finish their books. So you have like the pillar of balagha, where they would study balagha and language.
And actually, there were some pillars of the imams that you would say, okay, so this is the pillar where he would teach his dars.
Yep.
I remember going into the jama and you would see that, like in the masjid, like each one had their own pillar, and it's crazy. Like you would see, and these pillars, huh?
Do you think Al Bidayah wa Nihaya had its own pillar?
History, yeah.
The beginning,
yeah.
It's a history book. Yeah.
That's the history from the beginning to the end. Did you know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the end of where? Hold on, let's test his trivia.
Where what does that mean?
The Day of Judgment?
No. Imam al-Kathir wrote it, so he writes it up until his time.
Yeah,
that's
up
where
his time, and that's why you have Qasas al-Anbiya in there too, which is taken from there.
You know the book.
I think technically it should end at the Day of Judgment.
But he didn't live till then, so he's only.
Yeah, so how can you write
the future,
that? Yeah, but you can't write about things you haven't witnessed. It's a history book.
The Prophet gave indications about what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's other books that take care of that. Don't worry.
That's called Akhir al-Zaman. Anyways.
Yeah. He's like, what? Umar Zaman? He's going to say Umar Zaman.
I'm not going to say anything, dude. You're not allowed to make fun of those kind of things.
Oh, yeah, like, why? You're going to have difficulty practicing a religion? It's going to be hard for you to be a Muslim?
It's tough being me, bro.
I know, it's tough being your friend.
Yeah, Shaykh. Please continue.
Yeah, so lots of these books obviously are compiled by the professors themselves. It's an amalgam of all these classical books, and the scholars compile a lot of these together in a concise manner to use as a manual for the student, right? So one of the most amazing things happened to us it was either our second or third year. So me and my friend Fahim from the UK, he's from Manchester, mashallah, amazing brother. Manchester, yes.
Old Trafford.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that. Amazing. One of my another, like, we used to do everything together. He lived on the same floor as I did in the apartment building. So I would be on the right side, he would be on the left side, or I was on the left side of the building, he was on the right side. And we just used to have a window in between us, right? And there was like this open hall area, in between our apartments. So I just used to yell out the window and be like, hey, you busy right now? Let's study or whatever. And then we would study, and that's where we would. But then there was an amazing incident that occurred where one of our teachers, Shaykh Thana'Allah, who gave us ijazah in Sahih Bukhari, this individual was somebody that we firmly believe that Allah sent him to us.
Thana'Allah the Afghani.
No, he's Bengali. He's Bangladeshi. Yeah.
Bengali is no hadith? This is a new finding?
Yes. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh.
Okay.
But let me tell you this guy. So one day, me and Fahim are sitting down. We're talking to the head of the faculty. He's just getting together with the foreigners and asking, hey, do you guys need anything? And all that kind of like after hours type thing as soon as our last class was finished. He was teaching us contemporary fiqh issues, and then he said, hey, is there anything that you guys need? Is there something we could facilitate for you guys? And there's probably like 100 people in the auditorium then. And there's this guy that stands up. I've never seen him before. And he's wearing a kurta pajama, a kurta shalwar with their topi. But he's speaking like Egyptians. He's got like a little bit of the accent he's throwing in there, but I was like, is this an Egyptian dude? Because I was kind of far away. I was like, is this an Egyptian dude that's wearing a kurta pajama? Because the tablighis in Egypt, they wear kurta pajama.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. The tablighis, they wear kurta pajama. It's pretty dope, dude. So my friend Fahim, Sheikh Fahim, he's like, hey, dude, that's the Bengali dude I was telling you about. I was like, you told me I'm a Bengali dude? I was like, that dude's Bengali? But he was like having a conversation with the professor, and I was like, okay, this is not your like average student. So then afterwards, after everything's finished, I just introduced myself. And I said, like, my name's Amir, this and that. Where are you from? This and that. I'm from Bangladesh. So I found out after that first meeting with him, he finished, the whole Dars al-Nizami that they have in Bangladesh. He did the Dawr al-Hadith. He was teaching in one of the madrasa / universities there for a while. And he was there for an Azhari degree, right? And he was in the Hanafi section with us too. So there was a book that we were going through, Imam al-Taftadani's book.
Nizam al-Sam.
Huh?
Look what?
Nizam al-Sam, no. What?
I remember him though. I remember when we met him, like, he had to be, I remember we had to get him back on time because the dorms closed.
Who, Fahim?
And he lived at the dorm, and they were like, remember they were really strict about when you get in?
Yeah.
Because he didn't have money to be outside of it, so like they had accommodated him with inside the dorm.
Yeah.
So
he was actually giving a dars there, but he had to stay there, yeah.
Yeah, he had to stay in the dorm.
Yeah.
Like, so the doors closed at a certain point where you can't get in and out. It's like a prison, bro.
Dude, there's so many people that
What was his name?
Shaykh Thanallah.
Yeah.
He has a school that he started. Everywhere he goes, he's
his
a
last name
hustler,
is
man.
Siddiqui, I think. Siddiq or something.
No. Shaykh Thanallah.
I remember that because
his
when he
last
emailed me, it had Siddiqui in it.
Really?
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. It's weird, but yeah.
So,
Siddiq, I know.
So anyways,
I don't know.
you met this dude, and he's just like,
yeah, so I was like, can you, you want to study with us? I was like, he's like, yeah, of course. We could go through some stuff together. And we were going through this book in Usul, it's very codified. You have to decode it to understand. The reason why the Hanafis did that in the past, and other scholars, the fiqh language and the Usul language was very, very difficult to understand. And their philosophy was that your average person can access it and misread it and teach people false
I think that's the influence of like the Turkic people.
Possibly, yeah. So
they were very protective of knowledge.
Yeah.
And they don't want people like him to read stuff and like just make up.
So I had a really difficult time.
I read the Maktab al-Shamil, okay?
It's like saying, hey, I read Helen Plum Library.
It's like saying I went to the library.
It's like saying I read Helen Plum.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
I think he's referring to the program that everybody had.
But I'm saying since it's a library, it's like you go to COD library, like, hey, I read COD library. That's what it's like saying.
What's a COD?
UIC library.
College of page. What was I gonna say?
You think the people in the world know what the COD is? You're saying
Call of Duty.
Everybody knows COD.
Yeah.
Sheikh, sometimes you have to
We know a friend who got his master's from there.
Sheikh, sometimes you have to realize.
We have a friend who got his master's from COD.
We need to educate the people that COD is where the Khilafah will start from in America.
Actually, probably in the Midwest where it originally started from.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, is this Shaykh? What is it? Because
he was just like a few years older than me.
Yeah,
he was older than. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, he must have been like, I would say maximum 5 years older than us.
No. He wasn't. He was like.
I'm saying max. Like,
no. He was like 2 years older than us.
So he was my age.
Yeah. But his whole life, his brother's a scholar, his dad's a scholar. They're all.
When Shaykh Amir was like, yo, hey, talk to this guy, when he called, I thought it was the sort of Egyptian guy.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was like.
I'll tell you about him. But
because
he made history in
accent
Egypt.
and everything. Okay.
Yeah, he made history.
Oh, he had Amir like to the point you wouldn't think he was
with Egyptian. He just speaks Amir. He doesn't speak Fusha, but his Fusha. So let me tell you, dude. Check this out. So this book, Talwih ala Tawdih, this book in Usul al-Fiqh, dude, I was like hitting my head against the wall because I couldn't understand what was happening.
I don't even understand the name. What's the name mean?
Don't worry, I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you right now. Right?
I think he just made up that name. Go on,
I just made it up. So I still remember, and this is where my life kind of changed as far as my studies are concerned, right? Me and my friend Fahim are sitting with him, and he's basically explaining the book. I'm reading the book to him, and he's explaining the book. And he's not even trying. It's not like he's like looking at it. He's like, oh, because I was expecting him to be like a student like us. And he's just like, he's just like looking around and teaching it to us. I'm like, and I look at my friend Fahim. I was like, okay, how is this guy teaching it so easy if he's like the same year as us? Like, how does that work? He's teaching it better than some of my teachers were teaching it. And then I just kept on asking him questions. The same thing with Al-Hidayah. We were studying Hidayah with him. And then eventually he became our study partner. What happened? Eventually, he became our study partner, especially for exams. So me and my friend Fahim, we stuck to him so much, and he basically held our hand to the past few years in Egypt, that all of our studying and our final exam cramming and everything would be at his house. He was such an angel. He'd be like, yeah, just come over to my place. He lived kind of in the hood in Egypt. And we would go, and then while we would be studying, we were studying about 3-4 hours at a time, sometimes 5 hours, sometimes we'd be there all day. And then all of a sudden we smell this amazing desi food being cooked, and his wife used to cook food for all of us. Like, he's such an amazing person, such an amazing dude, man. MashaAllah, Allah reward him.
Where is he now?
He's in Bangladesh now.
He's probably.
Oh no!
So let me tell you something
You should have
about
told
him.
me. I would have visited him when I went.
So check this out.
The first time I met like Bengali Muslims was in Egypt.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I
The
never met
ones
a
here are
Bengali.
all heathens.
No,
This guy.
we just don't have Bengali.
This guy right here, this Mahin, he's the only, or the
This
first
Mahin?
yeah.
Who I know?
He's the first Bengali I ever met.
No, I mean, the first Bengali Muslim I ever met in my life was in Egypt. I never met a Bengali before that.
Really? Not even Saudi when you were in Saudi?
But apparently
Nah.
the UK is filled with them.
Oh,
No,
did
I
you
mean,
know about
no,
this?
okay, not that I know of. That was Bengali.
It's like an infestation,
right? Because you
actually.
know,
Yeah.
in Saudi Arabia, they all
Yeah,
speak
messed
Arabic,
up.
right? Like Salam Alaikum Abuya. Like you don't know what the either could be Indian,
Yeah.
Pakistani, they could be anyone, right? But like the first Bengali that I actually met was in Egypt.
So,
Yeah.
so you probably had like Dave cook. What kind of food was it? Like fish and stuff?
No, she used to cook everything. Chicken, lamb,
Fish
whatever.
with extra-
So, but we had
man.
fish curry too.
Fish
It was
with
delicious.
extra
Amir,
bones.
do you remember
It was
that
delicious.
fish joint, the seafood joint we used to go to? But Fahim used to love that one.
Hammo, yeah.
Oh,
No, not Hammo. What was it
It was the
called?
outside garden one. I forgot what
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
called.
that place is amazing.
Oh,
Don't even get me started, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, we can make this like a 10-part series if we get into detail. Right now, I'm actually summarizing and abridging everything so we don't get into too much, go into too many tangents. But so now we're spending so much time with Shaykh Allah. But in this process, I'm starting to find out, okay, he has ijazah in this book, he has ijazah in Bukhari, he's, and then we were like, okay, then he started this process of reviving hadith in Egypt, where he did a dawrah of Muwatta Imam Malik. And a lot of the Westerners joined it, some Egyptians, but mainly Westerners. And then he had a dawrah of Sahih al-Bukhari, and then another dawrah of Sahih al-Bukhari, which we were a part of. And literally finishing Sahih al-Bukhari, how long? I think it was a month we finished it in, maybe. I can't remember exactly how long it took us. But now the place that he's living in, he starts like a mini, like a madrasa type thing going on in like wherever he goes, he starts something beautiful, right? So then he goes back, everything that happens in Egypt, like fast forwarding, the Arab Spring, he lived through all of that. Him and his family settled in Egypt. He goes back to Bangladesh. He goes to Bangladesh, and then he forms a madrasa, and he starts a whole madrasa. Like everywhere he goes, the guy is a hustler, mashallah. So some of the most amazing people that I've met were in Egypt, man. Throughout these years, me and my friend Fahim, we meet some other teachers, and we're studying Arabic with them. We're studying tafsir with them. And the more time I'm spending there, I'm getting like closer and closer to, even if it's a few years away, I'm like, man, I'm probably gonna have to leave and like finish everything in 2012. I'm starting to already kind of like miss like Egypt, because I'm like, dude, I can do this forever, I'm loving this place so much. Even to the point where, like when me and my wife would be talking about the life in Egypt while we'd be having dinner, even till now, it's like, man, if we ever had to move anywhere, it probably wouldn't be India or wherever we're from. It'd probably be Egypt, because that's how accustomed we got to it, But there's
I love how cheap it was.
oh my god, tell me about it, dude.
Like, I mean, literally, honestly, I think, look, I don't know about now, probably got even cheaper, but at that time, for literally, I think, like, $700, you could have, a good, a comfortable life.
$700 American dollars? Oh,
Yeah.
you're living like
a
king,
a month. I'm talking $700 a month.
Yeah.
You could have a comfortable. I wouldn't say
Especially
like
if you're
middle
alone.
class, but like lower middle class.
Yeah.
But you'd be comfortable. Like, I mean, you'd have the internet. You'd have your kitchen, your food. You'd have eat out if you want to, because eat out, takeout is cheap.
I think the most we spent there, as me and my wife and my daughter there, maybe in American dollars, like $1,300 a month.
Yeah, that's probably you balled out.
It wasn't really balling, but it was like comfortable.
Yeah, I mean,
If
Mm.
we were spending $2,000 American dollars a month, we'd be living like kings. Back then.
yeah, and even now it's cheaper now.
Yeah, now it's cheaper. Obviously, a lot of things changed, but so now where does Mort fit into the picture here? Let's backtrack a little bit. So Mort comes there at around 2009, right? Now, what's happening
I
is
came at
there's
Obama's
this change.
gift.
What was your purpose of coming?
Just to bother Amir.
No, he was studying too. He had a private teacher come to the house and teach him.
No, but I just want to change the scene from America. I got tired.
I
got tired of having it.
He got tired of chilling at my place. He got tired of chilling at my place.
No, because you know,
literally every weekend he would be chilling at my place, and then one day he comes over. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to Egypt. I'm going to be with Amir." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Nah, he's not going to do it."
How long were you there for? A month?
No, I don't know, almost 4 months.
Were you there for almost 4 months?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he was there for a long time.
Yeah.
I know because I was without him.
So this is what happens, right?
Right.
Most people, when they come to Egypt, so this is when my wife is in the States, and I was in Egypt. So the apartment that I was living in were some bachelors, and then Mort and Muhammad Yahya was there too. It was you, me, and Muhammad Yahya. That's it, right? It was one other person.
It was Muhammad Yahya started off there, and then he left. He was somewhere in the building. You know, Muhammad Yahya was staying with Hasnain, but he would come over all the time. It was actually empty. There was one room that was across from the bathroom that was open, and then there was your room with the AC in it, right? And the whole thing was empty.
Yeah.
Right.
Hasnain Chaudhry,
and the funny thing
is,
is, Amir would never sleep in his room. I don't know, maybe he was missing his wife, but he would sleep outside in the main room on the futon. And he had this futa that was like a tie-dye. Futa lungi, okay? A lungi that was like a tie-dye. It was like, remember the green?
Yeah.
I get up, I'm like, Amir, what are you wearing, bro?
Like, hey, lungis are comfortable, bro.
I know, but why that color? It was like a tie-dye. It was like neon yellow and neon green. And it was like, I don't know what you were trying to...
plaid. That one was plaid.
No, bro, I remember what it was, dude. I saw it. It was like a tie-dye. And I don't know what you were thinking. I'm like...
That one must have been a skirt. I don't know.
Dude.
But anyways,
yeah.
So most people, when they come to Egypt, I used to have to make like a trip almost every month, once a month, sometimes twice a month, pick up Westerners that are coming from whether the UK or from the States and get them settled in the places they're living, and talk to the Boab, talk to the you know, the gatekeeper, and be like, okay, they're the Westerner and all that kind of stuff. But you have to kind of babysit them because they don't have the confidence to go out in a place where they don't speak the language, even though you can get along with speaking English. Mort, dude, I pick him up. He comes straight to my apartment. I'm like worried, okay, what's this guy going to do? He just goes out. He's like gone for like 3 or 4 hours. I'm like, bro, should I call him? I'm like worried. He's like, bro, they have a Sbarro's here. They have a McDonald's here. They have a Hardee's here, bro. I went to the mall and so he's got this bag full of like clothes or something. I was like, all right, he's chilling,
bro.
Yeah, so I had to get some stuff. I was like, all right, I don't gotta worry about this dude, because it's very rare for somebody to come there and just go out and just, you know, explore.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I went, so I had my big old beard, right? I had a thobe. I had like a Saudi thobe on, all right? And so everyone thought I was like this Khaliji guy. So I used to just put my hand up and the cab would come right away, because the Khalijis thought Khaliji had the money, right? So you see people do like dime U-turns in the middle of the
You see that though sometimes. If you're like waiting for a taxi, they see you,
like
like make a U-turn.
If you see like a regular looking person, they ignore him, right? But if the Khaliji comes and puts his hand up, like they're coming right away, right?
Was this after you lived in Dubai?
No, this is before.
But keep in mind, I traveled to before that. I've been to Saudi Arabia many times. Jordan.
He went to Jordan. He swam in the Dead Sea.
So you already were fluent in speaking Arabic.
I mean, I could get around. Not fluent, but I could definitely get around. Okay. I mean, I wasn't like. I mean, I remember I got remember the second day, I'm like, I got to go to the Nile, right? You know. So I went to the Nile and I took the micro.
Yeah.
No, I took the metro to Ramses. And I took a cab from the actual metro station of Ramses to actual the Nile, right? And in that ride, the Egyptian guy wanted to charge me 25 guinea for that ride. I'm like, it's nothing more than 5 guinea. I know you, right? And he got pissed, right? I mean, I just left 5 guinea like on the front and I just walked out the cab, right? This bastard, he had the nerve to come out and like kind of chase me. He put his hand on me and just turned around and smacked him in the face, right?
Yeah, dude. Foreigners getting fights with
and it happened right in front of one of those I'm gonna do that guys, right? And so they come over. Oh, I just flashed out my American passport, bro. I'm like, hey, look, and they told them to bugger off. But I remember it was like a second thing in Egypt. I'm like, I'm fighting with cab drivers, bro.
People, you have to have a lot of patience there because.
But one guy got me. I remember one time. I don't know if you were with me, but I had my phone. I had my back then. Everyone had a Nokia. Okay, and it was the one with the light on it. Like you hit your up button, the flashlight would be on the Nokia. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah.
So it was like a snipe. Anyways, so I I was sitting in the front seat, I was talking to the cab driver, he was talking to me, oh, mashallah, you're here, we were talking all this stuff. And then my phone drops in the back, all right? So when I get off, I told him, Dagiga, let me get my phone, give me a minute. And so I open the door, and I'm about to open the back door, right? He takes off, bro. And he turns the phone off. I see him grab his back.
No way.
I'm like, I should have known. I should have picked it up before, but I got played. But I'm like, oh, you got me good. Yeah, but
good thing we sent.
But I'll be honest though. To be honest, listen. Yeah, stuff like that happens, but you have to understand their mentality too. These are people who are. Some of them are really suffering. Like, these are people that don't have many opportunities. So the natural pickpocketers, they're gonna try to get $1 on you. But most people though are good people that I've seen in Egypt. Most are helpful.
Yeah,
most are
of course.
Yeah,
it's poverty that helps them, drives them to do that. But so now this is a time where Obama is coming to Egypt now.
What does that mean? Man kunta mawla ali. Okay, I was wondering. I'm like, what? I thought you were talking Bengali too, but it could do.
No,
yeah, it's in Arabic. Yeah, I think it's yeah, I don't know why you put. Okay,
anyway, so Obama is now coming into territory of Egypt. He's going to give a talk, and before he makes it out to Egypt, they're paving the way for him to raise, red flags to the people, showing the American government that they're really cleaning house to pave the way for Obama, for it to be very comfortable for him, and to show them, show their master that they're working really hard,
Yeah.
So
do the Egyptians think he's Muslim, by the way?
Some of them did. So what ends up happening is,
shut up your mouth, Obama.
That they started jailing people, started picking them up, and started throwing them in jail, kind of showing that they're getting some work
Clean
done.
house.
Yeah. So there were some girls that were studying there that were in jail for like 3 days there.
Yeah.
And there were some guys who got arrested. Bro, these guys, the apartment that I used to live in before I was married, when I was a bachelor, that place was always filled with, it was like 3 blocks down from where I was living. That place was always filled with British guys, American guys, as students, and just roommates, And the guys on the top floor, they were from, some were from France.
Germany, France? They're
Germany,
Italian.
Italy, and Brussels.
Yeah.
And right before Fajr, because one of my friends told me about this, he heard a whole bunch of noise and commotion in the stairwell, and he looks through the peephole and he sees these guys that are just like dressed like SWAT team.
Oh, yeah.
And they go all the way upstairs. They basically picked the lock. They didn't break it because so early in the morning. They picked the lock. They opened the lock, and the guys, they're woken up like flashlights and guns to their face, like, get up, we got to talk to you guys. So now there's this environment of fear specifically with the students, because they're there to study, bro. They don't really want to ruffle any feathers and ruin anything for themselves and end up in jail and have their families worry about them and all that kind of stuff. So I started avoiding like our residents, and we started avoiding like going home, because everybody knows the apartment building that we live in is all foreigners. They're all expats, and they're all students. Some of them are families too. There was actually a family that was taken too, but they were usually taking bachelors and stuff. So, bro, that, and Mort can even elaborate on that from his point of view, but it was like paranoid to go home. Like, I didn't want to go home because I knew that everybody knows where you live, There were certain areas that they had patrols running around in, because and I think our area was one and Rehab was another one. Yeah. Like they would, and I remember people, I was part of this like little group of people that were foreigners, like on the message group, and they were like, hey, they're picking up people in this area. They're picking up people in that area. Yeah. Right? And like they were telling us when these paddy wagons were running around. I was about to say paddy wagon. Yeah. And anytime we saw a police van, bro, we just turned the other way. Sometimes I would take my boot and put it in my throat. Like this. Because like it was so big that, like it was like down in here. So I would just like put this up like this so they wouldn't even know. So speaking of beard, so you remember Hayy Zaytun? We go to Hayy Zaytun. Yeah. This place where you buy thobes and it's like, you get a whole lot of cool stuff there for cheap. And I went to get camel milk, bro. Yeah. He went to my camel milk. And Mort, mashallah, rocking this monster beard. This guy stops him and he says, because it was like this, actually. It was shaped just like this. Yeah, but it was actually, the line was probably a little higher than that. Yeah. But it was just made a straight line. Yeah. So some guy stops him and he goes, you speak English? He was talking to us in English a little bit, right? Yeah. But he was talking in Arabic too. Yeah. He's like, you shouldn't trim your beard over here like that, there's bid'ah or something. He said something like that to Mort. And Mort, I actually respect that because that guy actually had a trimmed beard and he was talking smack to you. I was like, what's going on? I was so confused. And then we find out that he was.
I think it was out of Germantown.
Yeah, he goes, do you know Germantown?
Yeah, it's Germantown.
Philadelphia?
I'm like,
yeah, we know Germantown.
I'm like, what? Like he got married to some Salafi chick from Germantown, and he's trying to come to America. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. But no, that masjid, honestly, I love that masjid a little bit, but there's some weirdos in there. Masjid Aziz Billah.
Yeah.
But it was known for like the Madkhali hotspot.
There were some Madkhalis there.
Yeah. And I remember I was praying, bro. In the middle of prayer, some guy, I'm praying the Shafi way. He's trying to fix my, position of my hand.
Yeah.
He's trying to make my rafa. I'm like, bro, are you worried about? I'm like, خلاص يا عمي يعني وجع راسي.
Yeah, man, bro.
فوق النخل يعني he made me
when
crazy.
He throws up fingers like this, bro, he's confused.
Yeah, the thing is like.
What's a Arafi?
Arafi? That's what he said. He said Arafi. What'd you say?
I don't even know. I said خلاص يا أخي. I said.
Anyway, so
no, but what I'm saying is that I remember the Madkhali was like sitting there and he's watching me in my salah. Right? And I'm like, what are you? Honestly, it was crazy. But then I remember walking out and I don't know if you remember that, but you remember like when we were driving, there was that van that was rolling by. And I'm like, Amir, we gotta go. Amir, we gotta go.
I think I could count a few times we had to do that.
So I remember remember the masjid by the Mustalla by our house. Okay, we were downstairs and they had a regular muazzin and the imam that was there. And then I remember like they just changed it. Like they changed the imam that was giving the khatib, right? It wasn't even the imam; it was the khatib.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What the?" And
everything started changing then.
And every time the crazy thing about Egypt is that it's a little different than other places, but the garbage collection isn't really there. Yeah. So like they had like this, they basically make a bonfire. And like you just burn your trash every once a week.
Yeah.
You just
people are throwing their trash out.
Yeah, you just burn it. Everyone just burns it collectively.
Yeah.
But I remember, and I'm coming out of the masjid and I see this pile of trash burning, right? But I saw this paddy wagon, the guy peeking right behind this fire, and I'm like, oh snap, bro! And he sees me and I see him, bro. I just dipped to the alley, bro. I took off, bro.
Yeah, man.
It was just a bad time.
It was that time also where you can't really flash your passport. Because they kind of want to like...
They wanted to get those people.
Yeah.
Like, if you were American, okay, cool. We got a future radical from America. Get him, and we want to turn him in, right? Because it happened to the Italian brothers that were in there. I remember I kept getting these flashes in Rihab, in Maadi, like, hey, they're coming here, they're coming there. Are you okay? You fixing Magneto? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you okay, Yaki? All right, okay.
And look at his face. He's so mad right now.
Can you continue the story, please?
Okay.
He's so mad, Magneto.
But anyways, but yeah, I mean, I think
face.
This is what I have to work with.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I think that time though was just an awkward place because you felt like, and also it's funny because wherever you went, like there was Robert De Niro up above you wherever you went.
Robert
like,
De Niro.
Basically,
Hassan Mubarak.
Every picture of Hassan Mubarak was like.
He looks like De Niro, you think?
Yeah, in his older pictures, they have him with like shades and.
So
he looks like a mafia gangster.
Yeah, he had like his slick back hair, and he had like his butterfly collar on, and he had like this. Yeah, he had like his dark blue shades on. Yeah. He looked like Robert De Niro. Like it made him look like an Italian mobster. Yeah,
we used to call him Robert De Niro. That was code word when we were.
Salli ala nabi. Like
whenever we want to talk about him, so we just want to say Robert De Niro.
Yeah, but I mean, like the thing is, it was just an awkward time, and I remember like, and you couldn't really trust even other people because they wanted people. Like there were many informants. People wanted to turn on other people.
Yeah,
people would other Egyptians for a few extra guinea would tell people where foreigners are staying. Like it was really hard to trust people.
But not only but also for students, man. It was like weird for teachers. Remember when Ustad Amir used to come and teach you?
Get this, and this is what I was telling people too, like how people don't realize this, where like in the Western countries, UK, America, and don't get me wrong, like it's okay to have this respect, but people go and they like there's a celebrity culture around the mashayikh. Like, and that's fine. Meaning, I get their personalities, they have importance, they studied, they're unique in your society. But in Egypt, like during this lockdown, teachers were so eager to teach, and they're not getting paid much of anything.
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, some of them will even do it for free if you don't have money. And they're so eager to teach, they're willing to like. Well, you just mentioned Ustad Amir. I call him Shaykh Amir. I mean, he was, of course, that level. But
Amir Khalid.
No, not Amir Khalid. No. No. Anyways, but he used to live in a Shams.
Yeah.
Ain Shams.
Ain Shams, yeah.
And
you still remember that? It's pretty dope.
Yeah, and that commute coming to Madinat Nasr was probably a 2-hour commute
in the
morning.
Yeah, in
the traffic, right? Going one in each way.
Hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah. And when he realized that it was unsafe for us, he's like, listen, he's the one who voluntarily told us. We were willing to go over there to assume the institute, but he's like, no, you guys stay home. I'm gonna make my rounds.
Wow.
And he that's what he told me. He's like, you know, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna come.
Yeah.
Like, if you bait, I'll come, no problem. And I'm like, okay. And so he would come every day. And then it got tough for him. He's like, I'll come every other day. I'm like, no problem. You can come once a week. I feel bad for you, like you're coming. And I still give him extra money just as Jari. Because, you know, I mean, the thing is, like, he was just like, you know, I mean, on it. And I feel like it wasn't just me. Like, there were other students that had teachers that were making that commute. And just to protect their students so that, you know, they understood what was going on.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's special for... like when you travel or when you're in different countries, you like over here in America, you know, I'm sorry to say, but most chicks like, oh, you know, well, you know, too bad.
Yeah.
You know, oh, well, maybe next time you can attend, you know, whatever it may be, right? Whatever the circumstance may be. But they go out of their way. And like these people, and I'm not going to lie, some of these people, these teachers over there, they would blow most of these people who are teaching classes out of the water.
Oh,
right?
completely.
They would, I mean, there would be peons in front of them, right? But yet, how humble they are, where they're willing to like, khidma, yani they're serving you. Like they feel like they have to serve. That's how the difference is. Like, you know, over here, in the Shaykh culture, students have to serve. Like, I mean, they have. I don't mind that so much. I mean, I get that respect factor, but it's almost like the humbleness is gone. Like, of course, over in Egypt, you want to serve the teacher, help them, right? But the teacher has this humbleness where it's like, hey, I'm also gonna do khidma. Like, I'm gonna serve my student too. Like that relationship is mutual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That humbleness. And I don't feel like that's so much that culture is here in this part.
Yeah,
and that's what people don't realize. I mean, I tell people, you know, you can get knowledge in America. You can get knowledge in the UK. You can study these books. There are many qualified people. But that experience of seeing knowledge in action.
Yeah, man.
You can't get that except if you travel to seek knowledge.
Of course, man.
I
know. I still remember, man, like, so me and Sheikh Suhail Mullah, we would go to this place that Yusuf Rios introduced us to. Is called Ashira Muhammadiyah. So the setup of this place is very interesting. So you have a whole big, almost a mini village of graveyards, right? Of a graveyard. And the poverty is at such a high level that people ended up living in those graveyards. Cool? And it's not like your average graveyard here. It's like people build these houses in Egypt, and each family would own this house, and they would bury, their family in that house. Like whoever died from their family, they would utilize that house and just bury them underground in that mini house-looking thing. But people started living in those graveyards, right? So then there was a masjid that was in that area of the graveyards, and there was a little mahad, a little institute that was established there. It was
in the graveyard?
Yeah.
This is allowed?
Yeah, it's allowed. It's a masjid that's there. I mean, yeah. They're not...
This is my kind of masjid. I like it.
Cool.
A little creepy.
Yeah, it's not creepy. It's just totally fine. It's not like
there's dead bodies around.
Yeah, but you don't see the dead bodies though. It's one of those things. You ever like pass by graveyards? You don't really freak out anymore because you've been there so much. You know, like when you pass by graveyards, you freak out every time you see it.
Yeah, you're supposed to not freak out, but recite some Quran or something.
Very good.
Wait, walking by a grave, you freak out?
That's what he said.
No, anyways, that's not what I said. So, we had two teachers there for grammar, right? So someone could think, okay, Arabic grammar it's pretty dry. Like, how do you like find the zeal to go and study Arabic grammar? Well, we had two teachers, two of them, and they were both blind. Cool. Shaykh Ali Saleh and Shaykh Ibrahim, rahimahullah. Shaykh Ali Saleh is still alive. Shaykh Ibrahim passed away, rahimahullah. But we used to go sit in with them, and it was supposed to be two separate classes. They're like, hey, what if both of us just teach you guys the subject? So we would literally be taking notes. I still have this notebook where I think like every like 2 weeks I'd finish an entire notebook of notes that they'd be filling us in on. And we're covering portions of the Alfiya ibn Malik with them too. But it was beautiful because we went all the way there, and we would sit with them for like 2 hours, take a break for salah, and then continue with them, just sit with them, and they would just be teaching us and just filling in our notes. And that same teacher, Shaykh Ali Saleh, me and Fahim, the following year, we used to Shaykh Ali Saleh is like, why don't you guys come to my house and you guys can study Tafsir al-Zamakhshari with me. Tafsir al-Zamakhshari is a tafsir classic. He wrote his book Al-Kashaf, Imam al-Zamakhshari, even though he's Mu'tazili, but one of the most prominent books as on a level of rhetoric and balagha that anyone who wants to specialize in tafsir or get a taste of tafsir, there's nothing like it, right? So me and Fahim were going to him, and he lives like this neighborhood behind Azhar. You go through a little bit of a path, maybe like half a mile or whatever, and I go inside of his house. Him and his wife, they're both blind. Him and his wife.
Started doing what?
They're both blind.
Oh my! Oh,
and his wife is a Hafiz al-Quran also, and she used to teach. But you know how big this place is. This is about how big his house was. There was a kitchen in this size house. Imagine where your clothes are.
In the corner, right?
Yeah, that's where the kitchen is. The bathroom would be kind of like over here. It's a really small bathroom, right? And him and his wife they used to make tea for us every day, like while we
know where the bathroom is.
Yeah.
Because
good.
That's what you do.
Good.
When you first visit someone's house.
Sim has this thing that he thinks everywhere I go, I just go to the bathroom.
You do. Why don't you just admit it? Yeah.
No, he doesn't do it in my house.
Come on, bro.
No, he doesn't. I've never.
Anyways, let's not stray. Let's wait for all this till the end. How much time do you have?
Can you be mature for once in your life, Sim?
What are the time?
30 minutes.
30 minutes left. About.
No, we actually have 15 minutes left.
All right, cool. So,
10.
Oh, what a party pooper! He makes that joke and he wants to kill. Go ahead.
So the experience that you have with teachers and traveling and living and going in their homes and studying with them, it's not even as beautiful. Hey, meet me in the masjid. But when you go and you find somebody like a teacher and you treat them like your father, you know what I'm saying? You would treat them with so much respect. And on top of that, they're not taking any money from you. They're making chai for you, right? They're making chai for you. So that's one thing I realized when I was even talking about Shaykh Muhammad Hassan Waldada, when we were talking about the Mauritania, adventure or diaries. One of the signs of the true scholars that I saw is that they don't have any arrogance in their heart, and they're not expecting that you do lots for them. But there's even other scholars that were with me in Egypt, and I go to their house and they're like making chai for me and like refilling, literally standing up, going to the kitchen, refilling my glass and coming back and bringing it to me.
Yeah, but in the Arabi tea, it's very easy. They throw some mint in there, some.
Yes,
it's like a half a glass.
It requires little effort, is what you're saying. Yeah.
You ever make Indian doodh
patti? It's not about effort.
That is effort, yeah.
Basically, you should get credit for it.
It's not about effort.
Listen,
if there's a Hindi chef,
wait.
Shaykh al-Hind, if there's a Hindi sheikh who makes tea, doodh patti with milk,
Listen, hold on. Let me be honest. You want to talk for honestly?
Wait, hold on.
Let's talk.
You got him started.
Wait, let's talk honestly for a minute. You'll never find like a Desi sheikh making tea for a student.
That's right.
You'll find in this case where like this is what we're talking about. You'll find a giant of knowledge getting up, humbling himself,
don't
making
get triggered.
Tea.
Maybe there's some teachers.
Yeah, I'm sure there are, but I'm saying in general, it's not the
a
custom.
Part of the culture.
Yeah, it's not the custom. Here you have a giant like who's teaching. He's getting up and he's making tea for students.
What's his name again?
Shaykh Ali Saleh. You can find him on Azhar TV too. He's on Azhar TV also.
May Allah increase him.
I mean.
I wasn't meaning to diminish any of.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I've been noticing Sim descent into extremism lately. 2 weeks ago was Oprah Book Club. Now it's something else. Sim, we want good for you.
You guys aren't supposed to be reading the comments while the podcast is happening.
Yeah.
It's a serious show right now.
Once in a while. So I know I mentioned this in another podcast before, but it's worth mentioning. When I first came across Sheikh Ubaidullah Evans, I met him in passing in the States once. I just remembered something.
Before Egypt?
Before Egypt, yeah. So there was a brother that I used to live with by the name of Abdul Kabir, right? You remember Abdul Kabir, right?
Yes.
The guy from the UK.
Oh, I met him recently.
Where?
I forgot, but I met him recently, and we connected.
I see him at ISNA once a year.
Yeah, but he's part of like... this guy is amazing. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
but
Abdul Kabir Jabbar?
No.
I'm gonna have him on the podcast.
He's like this guy that just randomly pops up in part of random NGOs that does all this amazing work.
He was one of the people that was spearheading some of the projects in Egypt for organ trafficking. He was like working on an NGO with like organ trafficking and stuff like that.
He's just amazing. Anyways,
yeah,
we'll talk about that later.
He's working on some projects right now too. But anyway, so I have to in Chicago now. I have to pick up Abdul Kabir. It was one of the summers I was back. Abdul Kabir is staying with Ubaidullah Evans at his house. Like he was a guest there. And Abdul Kabir is like, hey, let's hang out. Can you pick me up from the city and we'll chill for a little bit? And then you could drop me off at my hotel or whatever. I was like, all right, cool. But then I had to go to the bathroom. This is where Sim is going to be really happy. He's going to be so happy. He's going to be so happy.
Thank you for vindicating me.
Yes. So
sometimes the truth you can't bury. Sometimes, you know, we talk about in our faith that you try to bury the truth, but you keep on burying it with falsehood, and but it breaks free. It just sheds. Like the Kool-Aid man.
So what happened was
Go ahead.
I drank tons of caffeine before I worked out. I drank a lot of coffee or something. And then I went and worked out. And then I had to go pick up Abdul Kabir. And I had to use the bathroom from when I had left the gym. Right? So I went and picked him up. And I was like, hey, bro, dude, is there somewhere I can use the bathroom here? I swear this is a true story. So he's like, yeah, dude, this is Ubaidullah. You know him? He studies in Egypt, too. I was like, no, I don't know him. Salam, what's up? So Ubaidullah, he's living in this... on these lakeshore apartments at the time.
On the north side?
Yeah. No, not on the north side. You mean of the city? No, he's living in downtown.
Okay.
He's living in downtown. So he's like, yeah, let me take you to the bathroom. So he took me to this bathroom. I went to the bathroom. I was salam, what's going on? I was just talking to him along the way. It was really weird. I could tell. You know, I felt bad for him because I think he was tired. And he's like, who's this dude that I got to take to the bathroom? So he had to take me to these
He's like, this dude to see a urologist.
Yeah,
not a bathroom.
Maybe. I hope not, inshallah. So took him to the bathroom. Salam, thank you, everything. I left. The next time I see him, I'm sitting in the big classroom in Egypt, like auditorium-ish type setup, and you have like, you know, bench seating and like you have steps going up, and each row has its own bench seating. Mm-hmm. And I see this dude, man, just dressed so differently than everybody else.
What was he wearing when you met him at the crib?
He was wearing like I think like a red sweater and some jeans, maybe.
I could picture him wearing like a nice little robe. You know what I mean? Like, you know, kicking back.
You remember that time we did the podcast with him in his house?
Yeah.
Even that was like his casual was still like
his joggers were on point.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, that's right. Mashallah, he's a good at anything he wears.
Yeah. So I see this dude. He's wearing these cool looking like Brooks Brothers glasses or whatever, you know, and he's wearing this blue blazer with like a white shirt with a bow tie. And I can't remember if he's wearing white pants in other auditorium, wearing these cool looking sneakers.
Sounds like a Nation of Islam guy that you're talking about right now.
But anyways, so
no,
not really. No.
Bow tie, probably. You know.
So
was it the bow tie that made you think that?
Yeah. I was like, him, yeah. That's the first time like I actually saw him in Egypt. And he was from Chicago. I had no idea that someone from Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like put two things together. You said you met him before this at an auditorium, right? In passing, and so wait a second. During that time, dude said he studies in Egypt too. You were studying Egypt. Wasn't the thing like, oh, were you studying? Any of that conversation? Or were you just like, I gotta piss and run?
Yeah, it was like that.
Really much like...
But I was like, cool. I was talking to Abdul Kabir after that. I was like, so I was like, dude, I never saw him in Egypt.
Yeah, because you know why? Some people come there just to vacation or to do business or to do...
learn Arabic. Yeah. 3 months, 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah, they're just not there. Like, I mean, and you don't want to just mingle with everybody. Because there are a lot of foreigners that come there. And especially at that time, there are a lot of people who just, you know, come in there, gone in a couple of months. Like me. I mean,
did you get his name or anything? He just was like...
Yeah, he knew. But
Oh
wow! Not even his name.
He's like, I just gotta take a piss, man.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
Yeah, who's that guy? Let me take a piss in his house.
So I told you, this guy, he's ruthless.
He
don't care. He's like the Bedouin who went into the mosque, bro. He don't care. Bro, that was probably like some great ancestor of his, dude.
Dude, you're... No.
It could have been possibility.
No, I don't think so.
How do you not know?
Because you
don't have yaqeen into it. You don't have yaqeen in that kind of...
No, listen, you know what happens to Amir? I'll tell you why Amir does this. Because he can't pace himself. He drinks a lot of water. He gets nervous. His bowels go crazy, and he just loses it. He can't. That's what happens.
But anyway, so there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about. Where do you guys remember how there was some counselors that said, you know what, we kind of need diagnose him to see if he has some type of learning disability, right?
Yeah.
So this is like the last thing we'll talk about, inshallah, because it was really cool. It worked to my advantage. This is when I realized that it wasn't a learning disability. It's just a different way of learning. So every single year now, my first year in the university, second year, third year, and fourth year, I actually got really good at it, is I used to go to the stationery store, and they used to have these foldable, like plastic, very, very thin plastic sheets that teachers used to use as like a transparent dry erase board. But it's like a plastic like sheet and you open it up and it becomes like a 3x2 or like a 4x2.
Yeah.
So I'd buy like 5 to 10 of those sometimes for my final exams. And I used to post them all over like a room in my wall in one of my rooms.
I remember that.
And I used to write all my notes down on those.
And it's transparent?
It's transparent.
No, I remember that.
That's like that's creepy. Like Dexter does that.
Yeah.
It makes like his kill room.
Yeah, but it wasn't like
But you're
that.
gonna
No,
have to find
what
out
he would do
something.
with, I remember it was kind of like a saran wrap thing.
Saran wrap, yeah.
And then he would just put a square.
Yeah.
And he would put like a concept, and he'd draw like lines away from it,
Yeah.
and then put like other things into
Definitions.
it. And he
I
had
have
them all over the
definitions.
apartment when I came in.
And I
thought this guy was trying to kill me when I walked there. Like,
I would start like 3 weeks before our final exams would start, and just put all my notes down on these walls. So sometimes it'd be different rooms, but I had like one designated room, which was my study room, and I just plastered all over the walls. And what would happen every day, I just visit all of those walls, just walk in a circle when I woke up, after I come back home, and just
Do you still do
constantly, no, I kind of do it on my own papers now. I don't do it. If I had to study now, if I was taking another course, I would definitely do that. Because now that
So
I realize...
you're kind of like this Rain Man thing where you just walk around and like just look at these numbers and like.
So, yeah, right.
Can you imagine Amir pacing in the room like this, looking at like little things?
That's
on the
what I do
wall?
actually. And every day, guess what happens over time? So one thing I realized is that it's something that you have to exercise the muscle, and I'll tell you what I mean. In my third year, what started happening to me was while I'd be in my exam, I just picture the whole entire dry erase board, whatever you want to call it, that I would write on. And I'd able to be picking off information on it while I'd be writing. And I was like, dude, this is my favorite way. I actually loved learning that way.
I thought you said you liked the stone tablet that they use at the Mauritania.
No, I've used that when I was in Mauritania. I didn't use it after that.
Yeah, but
It's a good way of... It's not stone tablet. It's made of wood.
Whatever.
And what that is you're
He's
taking
thinking Rosetta Stone. That's why. Anyways, listen.
So why that is helpful also?
He's codified in the ziggurat tablets of Hammurabi's code.
No, wait.
The reason
The
why that's
difference
awesome is
that he's
because-
talking about, though, I'll explain. Because in Mauritania, he was just simply like maybe writing something down and memorizing and reading it and washing it off. Here, he's putting concepts, not just word for word, and he's circling them, and he's making like little clouds of additional subsections of information.
Yeah.
And I would walk in, I'd see like these little lines going away. Like this main part would lead to a subsection that has a subsection.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he's parting out everything, all these concepts. He's parting them out.
So one thing I realized is that I started loving making these things. Like when it would come time for exams, it was weird. I started loving to make those graphs and learning off of those. Like I actually loved it. Like it was weird. I have like this type of anxiety when exam time came around, but I'd be sometimes like overridden with that anxiety with having to be able to make all those boards. So I would read everything inside of this is what I would do. I was read everything inside of the book of what I would expect on the exam. And then you have previous exams that were released, in other books and stuff from the years in the past. And then I take those definitions, write them down. And sometimes I had like 6 or 7 in one room. There was like 3x2, sometimes even 4x3 of these, foldable saran wrap-ish type dry erase boards, right? And then I would end up just giving all of my information for all of my subjects in one room, sometimes in 2 rooms, and just stroll through it and just look at them throughout the day while I was studying the same subject. So I'm having a reading of a book, and those concepts I started finding I have to be able to teach those in order for you to memorize it. So I'm starting to find that, Shaykh Amin always taught me this, even before I ever traveled. He said, my goal, he would tell me, our goal of studying here is that when we learn something, you have to make sure that you teach it because that's the best way to memorize something.
Yep.
And I agree with him 100%. But if I'm studying on my own, if I don't have anyone to teach it, then I would definitely resort to it. I started finding lots of comfort. Then I thought to myself, what if I read everything that I have to in the book, subject matter that I'm focusing on, put it on walls, but then also teach it to somebody too. You know what I'm saying? So then I started finding that my recall, and I still find this sometimes a problem where I'm not able to recall things, but if the book is in front of me and I'm teaching the book, I remember everything, even from like 5-10 years ago. So then I'm starting to realize that...
At this point, have you already done Hujjat Sunnah?
No, I mean... Hujjat Sunnah is not actually a...
He doesn't know what that means. Why are you asking it? Why are you answering
It's the authority of the Sunnah, bro.
Yeah, but that study...
It's not even a book.
It's a very complicated subject.
Actually, it's not. It just means a secondary wahi. It's another type of revelation. The Sunnah is secondary revelation. That's all that means.
Are you trying to doubt my scholarship?
There's two types of revelation, right?
Is this how you would treat your other scholars over there?
There's wahi. There's wahiyun matlu. Wahi, the one that's recited, like as far as Quran, and there's wahi ghayr matlu, the one that's not recited as Quran, which is the Sunnah. That's all Hujjat Sunnah is.
Yeah, I'm talking about the second one, the matloon.
The matloon, the ibn talun.
He said the magluba. That's what he said.
So check this out. One thing I started realizing is that I started naturally loving teaching because I'm able to now go through a text, even if I didn't review it in 4 or 5 years, but now if I have it in front of me, everything unravels itself for me, and I'm able to teach even from and pull out things from 5, 6, 10 years ago. But if you were just to sit and have a discussion with me, I'd like it, but I would prefer having a book in front of me and teaching it to somebody. Right? Now, all in all, I have to give a major shout out to Islamic Learning Foundation, ILF, right? What happened
your
was...
sponsors.
Very good. So after my second year, I had some issues. Look, Allah bless my parents, my oldest brother. They're the ones, and my brothers, but my oldest brother, they're the ones that funded all of my studies. Like, I never really had to work majorly to save up lots of money, or else I couldn't go. Like, my brother bankrolled everything of my studies, so I owe so much to my brother. Big shout out to him, mashallah. Even at the point where I was getting married, my father-in-law, mashallah, very well off. He's like, he literally says this to me.
Why don't you give a shout out to his new gym that he set up?
I did.
Gains Fitness.
I did. Gains Fit Club. I said that last time too. Gains Fit Club. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out. I don't know if they have a Twitter page, but check them out. They have their own website too. And they're working out during COVID, mashallah, with special restrictions. You guys can check them out though. But anyways, we'll have a specific episode about that, inshallah, just to make him happy. So my father-in-law, he literally says, I still remember this. I'm never going to forget this. He says, my daughter was raised in a millionaire house, and you're a student, you don't have any money, how are you going to support my daughter? This is what he said to me, right?
Damn.
And I was like, dude, it's very true. It's his oldest daughter. He has a right. If it was me, now that I think about my daughter, I'd probably be more harsh than my father-in-law was. You know what I'm saying? So I totally get it.
No, you wouldn't. You'd be totally nice.
No.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be like, we'll find a way, bro.
We'll find a way.
I'll help you out.
Yeah,
I'll work
You can live
extra
my
shifts.
basement.
I'll work
Did you
extra
tell
shifts for you.
my brother's got me covered?
No, so my brother, he literally just butts into the conversation amazingly, and he says, all along, we've been paying for our education and his education. We all help each other out. We don't keep a hisab of how much we paid. We don't owe each other money. We just pay for each other, and that's how it is. So my father-in-law, he loved it. And this is a story, it's an inside joke. No, this is an inside joke. My wife is going to love this. My daughter is going to love this. Is that this is a moment where my father-in-law, he's like, not too many people have this. Say alhamdulillah. He's saying this to my brother. Wallahi, this is set up. He's like, not too many people have this. I don't know any families like this. So he says to my brother Naveed, he's sitting there. He goes, say alhamdulillah. And my brother's like, say alhamdulillah. And my brother's like, alhamdulillah.
Naveed needs America, alhamdulillah.
It was pretty dope. It was a very it was a turning point in my life. So why am I mentioning all of this, and how did we get here? Is that why were we talking about this again?
Because you were talking about how you were struggling in Egypt and
yes, monetarily. So I was like, dude, I was contemplating so many things.
ILF.
Yeah, I was contemplating so many ways of I was like, dude, should I take this year off? Should I do this? One of the brothers came up to me. He's like, bro, I got a job for you. All you got to do is get your CDL, and you could save up at least $70,000 this 1 year because you're living with your parents and all that kind of stuff. And then these amazing brothers, dude, Abdul Sattar Ahmed, Wasif Khan, Salman Mujahid, Banda Nawaz owner Faisal Khan, dude, all these guys. What's his name, dude? I'm forgetting his name, but if I forgot your name, I apologize. Shiraz Khan, all these guys, they approached me. They're like, bro, we're so sorry they were the sweetest people in the world. They're like, we're so sorry you're going through all of this, bro. I wish we knew earlier. So Mujahid was actually like, I thought he was going to come to tears. He's like, bro, nobody studying the deen should have to be worrying about all that kind of stuff. Let us sponsor you for the remainder of your 2 years of your study, or I think it was, he said, but can we just make a contract that after you come back, since we're sponsoring you for 2 years, that you work with us for 2 years? So for me, the beautiful thing was that I have a job if I come back. I don't have to worry about money when I come back. For me, I was like, alhamdulillah, dude. It's already, the planning of Allah is already taking place for me. And I was living with my parents at the time too, right? And that's when I worked at ILF. ILF, and working for ICNA, and we could talk about this in the next episode, inshallah. Working for ICNA, they actually, Abdul Sattar Ahmed literally took me to IFS and said, hey, listen, ILF, we're having some issues right now, but we want to make sure that we keep our end of the deal and make sure you have some work. So we talked to Islamic Foundation principal, Shaykh Omar Qureshi, good friend of mine, and he said, let's have an interview. He wants to just basically talk to you, and just so we can keep our end of the deal to make sure that you have some type of employment. And that's when I actually started working with IFS. So I was basically working with ICNA Relief and ICNA and IFS at the same time, right? And so Allah bless those brothers. They took care of me. They looked out for me. If any of you guys know them, please keep Salman Mujahid in your dua. Abdul Sattar Ahmed, who's a scholar in his own right. He doesn't like to admit it, but mashallah, he's a scholar.
I thought he was a programmer.
Right. He's a programmer, but he's a scholar in his own right.
Nice.
Those who know him know what I'm talking about. He's not going to admit it though. But I mean, there's going to be more detail, I think, in the next episode. I had to kind of fast forward through everything. If you guys, I think if I can say this, if they have any questions, they want us to have a specific, if we can gather like 5 questions that are really good questions if they have, and have a specific episode.
I got one right now though. What's your favorite Egyptian food? Kushri.
Well, I did like kushri. It was good. One of the, the coolest things that happened to me when I first got married, I went to Egypt. I was like, bro, I'm a student, man. I don't know what, like, the situation. Yeah, my wife, we're going to be cooking at home and everything, but bro, so the first day,
you afraid of your wife's cooking first?
No, I was afraid of her cooking. I was like, dude, how much money am I going to have because I'm new at marriage, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I go to Sharqawi's, that was behind our house. Remember that? I go and get this fool sandwich, fool Iskandarani, that's got like parsley with fool with salsa fool and like tomato sauce. The Egyptians, the Muslims know what I'm talking about. Fool and ta'miyah, the dinamite.
There was that Sharawi and there was Abu Mazen's.
Yeah, I remember. That was a Syrian, but that was good.
Yeah.
So I bought it back home. And I still remember, I was like, oh my God, I wonder if she's going to like this or not. I'm just waiting for her to eat it. I'm still newlywed, bro. I've been married for like 4 months, right? So she eats it. She's like, wow, this is delicious. I'm like, yes, victory. Cheap, bro. I got like 10 sandwiches for like maybe like $2 American.
Oh, so cheap.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, so Sim, we have something for you, though. Maliki Click says that last year around this time, you said that you would dress up as a white-faced Frankenstein for Halloween.
A white-faced Frankenstein?
Yeah, that's what you said.
Whiteface?
Because we were talking about blackface and whiteface, and you said you would be a white-faced Frankenstein for Halloween.
If I can get a fatwa that's permissible, I'll do it.
Stop backpedaling.
I'll do it.
White paint. You got to paint your face.
Paint it.
And you got to screw some bolts in your head.
Screw some bolts in my head.
Take the hat off.
But I'll just look like Uncle Fester then.
Or tell him
Maliki, Click, I know what you're up to. I'm one step ahead of you.
Tell him to dress up like Ismail.
Getting a black guy, getting a brown guy, painting his face white, bald. I know what you're doing.
What is
I'm one step ahead of you. He's a white man.
He's my Norwegian brother.
MashaAllah.
But he spent time in Yemen. He spent time in Egypt. He spent time in, I think, Saudi Arabia, other places. But he traveled, well traveled.
You didn't hear the show we had with him?
Yeah, I heard it. I didn't see it.
It was the Area 51 episode. Oh my God. What was that episode number?
That was a long time. It was about the jinns.
It was about a year ago or so.
Yeah, and then we did one about him specifically. Yeah,
it was great. Oh, by the way, are we going to have The Exorcist on again on the show?
Inshallah, he's very busy, but we have to make it happen.
He is dope, though, by the way. I've seen him personally, and wow.
Who, Abu Mujahid?
Abu Mujahid, yeah.
I still get, wallahi, no exaggeration. He is the most emailed about person.
I know.
No, but the thing about him is that he's like extremely accurate about an analysis about what type of sihr it is, if it even is sihr, if it's like this. I mean, it's crazy.
I recently took him to a place, man. And
recently, or within the past couple months.
Yeah, like less than a month ago.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. One of the individuals had someone did sihr on them.
There was some possession?
Of them had ayn. There was. Oh no! It was a possession.
Yeah, but
it
you know what?
Possession, yeah.
You know what's crazy? When I took this person over there, they were like, "Hey," he even was able to say, "You know what? I bet you in your home there's probably a closet that has some noises coming from it and stuff." He knew even exactly what kind of sihr, like, it's something done in your home. Like, I mean, it's crazy, bro. Yeah, I mean, he
kind of like the Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe, where they just go into the closet.
But
you know, a different world.
You remember that?
You know what though?
High school,
I realized that Jin don't like Sim though, because he's too lazy. Like, he doesn't like.
I try to make friends with him.
Yeah, like he's too lazy. Like Sim is I think.
No, I had the sleep paralysis and stuff, and I would try to go back to sleep just to like.
Yeah, me too.
Like, okay, I don't have time for this right now.
That's
I really need. I really need to sleep. You cannot be bothering me with the pressure on something. I know what, and it Wallah Lazim, bro. I kid you not. The freaking thing gets pissed off that I'm not giving it attention.
I know.
Yeah. So it goes like this. Like
that happened to me a lot my first year, bro. When I was married,
it was crazy.
When I was in Egypt, I used to get that sleep paralysis a lot, to the point that I used to tell my wife, I'd be like, "Dude, if you see like me just like struggling because sometimes you hear me making noise.
Yeah,
sometimes you hear me like because."
So for everyone it's different, like, but there's a moment when they're about to do it, because you can start
hearing the ringing,
the
ringing of the ear.
Or for me, I hear like
I hear whispering. I hear whispering.
I would hear the whisper, or I'd hear like that. I could feel that breath, like that hot air. I could feel that.
I think
the worst time it happened is that's when I got pissed. Remember, I told you where I got up and I was ready to burn the house down. I was like, "Oh, you guys are gonna die now tonight." After they never bothered me, alhamdulillah, but. That time, it wasn't just like one, or it wasn't like a whisper. I felt like a bunch of them just circling around my head, like the breath, and like I just felt it. Like
actually, that noise sounds very familiar too. That noise.
Yeah,
but what used to happen to me was like my first year when I first moved with my wife to Egypt. Like I got so used to it, and like the crazy thing is, it would start off with this crazy ringing of the ear in my ear, but sometimes I'd be so tired. I'm like, bro, here we go again. It'd be like one of those, here we go again.
Yeah,
and then. In my dream, I'd be yelling at her. I'd be like, "Hey, do something, do something."
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
And then I asked her, I was like, "Hey, did you hear me say anything?" She's like, "I heard you make some noise, but I was like, if I do that again, just push me and see what happens." And then she started kind of like finding that time she'd push me, and I'd like snap out of it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But that was like
weird. No, what happened with the one time when you were in Egypt and the little guy from Game of Thrones, the dwarf?
That was just about.
That was in India.
He oh, in India.
That was in India.
He ran into your room and then he like stole your cookies and ran out.
The keeper elf.
No, there was a little dwarf.
By the way, Shaykh Amir knows. You guys know it's about. Bro, whenever I go anywhere, I love dwarfs.
Yeah,
like, I look for them on
Morty.
purpose.
Morty. The Sheikh here had a dwarf who would visit him.
I love it. So cute.
They would visit him at night.
No,
they would take his cookies.
even the gym has bothered him on night gym.
Dude, okay, this is the story. They didn't take my cookies, bro. This is what happened. I didn't even have cookies. So I was living in
Did they adjust your pillow?
No, so what happened was...
a little bit?
They probably rubbing your feet.
So this is what happened. Look, there was this old lady that rented out this huge house with a bunch of different rooms, and she made apartments out of them. So I lived on the ground floor. It had one room. Again, it was probably a little bigger than this room, but there was a shared bathroom. But I had to go outside of my apartment, outdoor, swing around the alley, and then there was a gated area, and that's where the bathrooms were. So it was like shared, but it was like I had to walk, to go to the bathroom. So one of the nights I'm sleeping there, and this is where Haqqani, he's living like a few miles down from me with his family. I'm sleeping and I hear some noise in my room. I wake up and I see this dude. It almost looks like a cartoon at first. It's like he's wearing like a blue shirt. I still kind of remember, very small, probably like 2.5, max 3 feet high. And he's looking at me and he's trying to open the door, but like imagine I'm in the corner over there. He's trying to open the door to exit the room, but he's looking at me. And I keep on going. I'm like, dude, this is a dream. I keep on waking up.
Was he eye level with you? Like
probably, yeah, when I sat up. At first I wasn't sitting up, I was like this, and I'm squinting. And I did have a little bit of a nightlight in my room, but there was like a a bright light outside, like a street light, so it would shine inside through the window. So I wouldn't really need a bright light. So, and then he was like trying to open the door, and I kept on like, dude, is this a dream? I kept on rubbing my eyes.
And you didn't have a fever or anything.
Nothing, no. No, that was, well, I didn't talk about that, but I had malaria in India too, but.
You know what you should have done next time with a deterrent? Just put the door like knob a lot higher so they can never get it.
You're such a goofball. I didn't plan for all this, bro. And then I started reading Ayat al-Kursi, and then he started like trying to open the door even faster and faster.
Wait, so
and I kept on reading, and then all of a sudden he just disappeared.
Do you remember that scene from Joker? Where the midget comes in this place after he just kills the guy?
Oh yeah.
And he couldn't get out. He's like
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, it's
the recent
new
Joker
movie? Joker. Yeah, the recent one.
I don't
remember when he kills his friend, the fellow guy, the guy who's working with him, and he has that midget over. Remember after he bludgeons the guy, and then he's sitting in the apartment, and he kisses the midget on the head, and then he's like, go. And he's trying to get out, but he can't reach the lock.
I'm gonna have to rewatch.
Yeah,
that.
you watched it anyways. Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, man. I think. What do you think, Sam?
All right,
that's right. Yeah, we're good. We're good for this
Help
show.
us out on patreon.com/the Mamluks.
And Jazakallah khair for the one who dropped the super chat. We appreciate that.
That's awesome as always.
We couldn't get you. Yeah, we couldn't.
He was just saying thank you.
You said thank you. Yeah.
He's just saying what's up.
But we still need to thank you for that though.
That's what we did.
Oh, I
thought we just did it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I did it because you didn't say anything.
We should, well,
he's like, he's about to say yes, yeah.
Thank you. We'll talk to you all later. We'll see you. When's the next episode?
I don't know. Is Central still open?
Central?
Yeah.
I think they're open till 10.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you all next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
What happened with the small person they're asking?
Huh? The small person? I said they left the room after I was reading it.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Ubaid's, because you mentioned your wife being sick.